It was a cool, crisp autumn night. The kind of night perfect for staying indoors and reading a nice book in front of a crackling fire. Unfortunately for Ptolemy Meikle, he was decidedly outdoors, with neither book nor fire to be seen. He knew that the trip to Silag would be a long one, but the King of Apex had personally requested him, and if he put on a good enough performance, perhaps it could turn into a longer arrangement, and he wouldn't need to travel again for years to come. He also knew that his journey would have been far easier if he had just stuck to the coast, but everyone stuck to the coast, and no one came this far towards the brink, and that meant he could expect much better audiences from the various towns and hovels he stopped in along the way. At least, that had been the plan. The sun had disappeared over an hour ago, and Ptolemy Meikle, a half-elf man nearing the end of his first century, was starting to get nervous. He had planned on reaching Little Cedar well before supernova, yet here he was, tripping over trees without so much as a sign to tell him how much further he had to go. It was the gravity that was the worst part about being this far towards the brink. You didn't feel it so much on yourself. Well, unless you tried to throw yourself over the edge. But thankfully it hadn't come to that. Yet. Rather, it was a subtle effect, one that became apparent with time. And given the age of this forest, it was evident that enough time had passed. The trees of the Ozai Woods didn't grow upwards. Rather, they grew at a sharp angle away from the brink. While it created a rather striking visual effect, Ptolemy Meikle found himself entirely past that point, and had rapidly veered into unmitigated irritation as he found himself scrambling over yet another aggressively slanted oak. The half-elf pulled himself over the offending tree and decided to catch his breath. He dropped his pack to the ground with the indifference of a truly exhausted man, but placed the case holding his dulcimer down with the delicacy of a sentient bull who desperately wished to prove he was capable of navigating a china shop. Ptolemy Meikle sighed heavily and leaned against the tree. He ran a finger through his thinning dark hair, although it was still full enough if he brushed it the right way. He sat there for a while, looking up at the few stars he could see through the dense leaning canopy above, then pulled himself to his feet. A warm bed and a hot meal weren't out of the question just yet, and he desperately wished to avoid another night without a roof over his head. Perhaps if he had stopped there, things would have turned out differently. Perhaps with a new day's sun, he would have seen the pitfall, so carelessly camouflaged by brambles and leaves. But he did not stop, and he did not see the pitfall. And so, with a sudden scream, Ptolemy Meikle found himself plummeting into darkness. Ptolemy Meikle awoke a short time later, or perhaps it was a long time later. It was hard to say given the intense ringing in his head. He looked around and realized he had gotten his wish. He was indoors, and there was a roaring fire nearby. There was only one drawback, which was that Ptolemy Meikle found himself hanging above the fire, tied to a wooden spit. He looked around and saw his captor, a hill giant, who was chopping at some vegetables with a knife the size of a greatsword. He wore a ratty unitard apparently fashioned from burlap, and his enormous gut poked out from beneath its scant covering. Excuse me, said Ptolemy Meikle. The giant turned its bulbous, dirt-streaked face to look at him.
Yes?
It responded. Well, I just wanted to say, I appreciate you bringing me in out of the cold, but this fire is a little bit warm, and I don't suppose you'd be able to take me away from it.
Afraid not.
Ah, very well. Well, at the very least, do you think you could rotate me a bit? It's getting a bit warm on my back. The giant sighed and put down his knife. He slowly plodded his way over to the fire and turned Ptolemy Meikle 90 degrees.
Better?
Yes. Thank you. What's your name?
I'm Clarb,
said Clarb the giant. My name is Ptolemy Meikle, replied Ptolemy Meikle the half-elf. I'm afraid there's been some misunderstanding. I'm supposed to be performing in Little Cedar later tonight, and this is really messing up my plans.
No misunderstanding. I'm hungry, and your dinner.
Ah. I see. Well, you wouldn't want to eat me. I'm a rather bony man, and I'd likely get stuck in your throat.
I don't mind.
Furthermore, I'm terribly morose, and would likely give you indigestion. At this the giant paused. Then he shrugged and said,
It's fine. I'll just take an antacid.
Listen, Clarb, I'm a performer by trade, a musician in rather high demand, and I'd like to propose a trade. The giant didn't respond, so Ptolemy Meikle continued on. I imagine you don't see many musicians out here. The giant turned to face him.
Sure I do. I ate one just a couple years ago.
Ptolemy Meikle was starting to realize why most of his colleagues stuck to the coast. He continued, Well, still, I'd like to propose a trade. I'll play my best songs for you, and in return, you let me go without eating me. The giant shook his head.
Sorry. I don't really care for music. It makes me sad.
Ptolemy Meikle thought for a second. What about a story? A happy story, full of adventure and intrigue. At this, the giant stopped what he was doing and made his way back to the fire. Not a moment too soon, because the edges of Ptolemy Meikle's cloak were starting to smoke ever so slightly.
What's the story about?
Ptolemy Meikle thought about the many stories he knew. Some true, some false, some happy, some sad. He cast them all aside. None of that mattered. What he needed most of all was a long story. The kind of story that would distract the giant while the fire burnt itself out. And with enough luck, he'd be able to loosen his restraints and escape. Yes, it must be a long story. Ptolemy Meikle thought for a second longer, then replied. It's about a missing princess, and 3 heroes who set out to find her. For a long time, Clarb remained silent. Then he nodded his head.
All right. You tell your story, and I'll keep cutting my vegetables. And if you tell a good story, I'll let you go. But if I don't like it, I'm going to eat you.
It wasn't a perfect arrangement, but it was a start. Ptolemy Meikle attempted to straighten up and began to recite his chosen story. Amongst the endless cosmos of the material plane, floating amongst the stars, there is a bird, a phoenix to be precise. Its name is Pharos. This bird has 2 eggs, known as Golo and Ketchio, which it travels between at different times of the year. None can say precisely how long Pharos has been there, but it has been a very long time. Beneath the great bird Pharos and its eggs, there is a world. It is flat, as all worlds are, and it is composed of a single continent that wraps around the outer edge of the planet, and at its center is a vast ocean, the Elsween Ocean. The elves were the first people of this world, and they called it Zaviel-Indirith, Ulith-Teriandiriria, which in their language means first world. Elves are known for their long lifespans, and as such, they had the time to pronounce the name in its entirety. However, when other species of humanoids began to appear throughout this new world, they found their days were too limited for such a cumbersome name, and they began to shorten it. The humans were the last major species on this new world, and their days were also the shortest. As such, they began to refer to the planet as Zav.
Hey, I already know all this.
Ptolemy Meikle frowned skeptically. It's necessary to set the stage for the story. I don't come to your home and tell you how to cook unsuspecting bards.
You've already done that.
Ah, you're right. Sorry. Ptolemy Meikle composed himself, then carried on. Zav is a diverse world, full of all manner of peoples. There are the noble elves of Uluthorthiad, and the dragon lords of Al-Asha. There are the proud dwarves of Nervaldir, and their neighbors, the orcs of Mount Drelbeck. Ptolemy Meikle looked over at the single member of his audience. And, of course, there are the mighty giants. These people live in relative peace, though sometimes there are times of war and strife. Our story begins in one of these times of peace, although it is a peace that will not last, because powerful, malevolent forces are at work. If we were to look down upon Zav, as the great bird Pharos does, and look towards the southern coast of the Elsween Ocean, we would see a great kingdom. The land it sits upon resembles a trident, and at the tip of this trident is the great city of Erdenine, the crown jewel of the Crownlands. At the very tip of this trident is an immense castle. Its name is Balefire Palace, and at its center sits an immense tower, and at the top of the tower is a signal fire that burns brightly for all to see. Moving away from this castle, one would see elegant manners and spectacular arcane wonders that are befitting of a city of Erdonen's storied reputation. Perhaps the greatest of these wonders is Oceancrest Falls, an immense waterfall from which countless gallons pour from the Elsuine Ocean into the city itself. And yet, the city does not flood. The majority of Erdonen sits below sea level, under an endless cascade, and yet it still stands. However, despite the many wonders of Erdonen, it is a time of crisis because the Princess Callista Galtries, the only child of King Ferren Galtries, and heir to the Tide's Collar throne, has gone missing. It is all that anybody can talk about. Well, except for one individual, a halfling man, who has just arrived at the gates of Erdonen and does not know what has befallen it.
Come gather round, travelers, and sit on the stoop. We'll tell you a story about Bod Soup. 3 lovable scamps in our traveling troupe. We'll tell you a story about Bod Soup.
It's super time. Glimki Treefellow, you have been traveling for quite some time now. About 4.5 months, or about 180 days. And yet in that small amount of time, you have already seen so much. You spent time amongst the Dragonborn of Al Arsha, and you spent some more time traveling with a group of boundless pilgrims as they made their way around the planet. You parted ways with them but a short time ago, because it was in your heart to see the great city of Erdonen and all the wonders it holds. I ask at this time for you to tell me what Glimki Treefellow looks like.
Yeah. So Glimki is a nice, tall 3'3". Not maybe not the tallest by other species standard, but he's feeling pretty confident about his height amongst the other gnomes. Yeah, I mean he's been traveling, so he's looking quite like a nomad. He's got on some nice leathers, and he's wrapped in kind of like this olive green kind of half cloak. You can see his kind of bushy brown hair, from underneath that hood. Aside from that, he's got a nice big backpack of all of his goods that he had stubbornly packed before his journey out, and I'm sure he's been collecting some souvenirs along the way. Yeah, and I guess he's kind of at the moment bewildered by this massive city that he's finally gotten to see.
So, yeah, you are standing outside the city when we join Glimki Treefellow, and you kind of round the top of a hill, and you can see the entire city of Erdonen laid out before you. In the distance are several islands that are connected to the city by vast bridges, several of which reflect the early afternoon sun, and you see an immense wall erected around the city, which holds the ocean at bay. Except for at one point, where you see a massive waterfall stemming from the ocean that is pouring into the city. On the eastern edge, you see a port with countless tall ships bearing the colors of a dozen different nations. And as you begin to approach the city, you see that there is a long line of people waiting to enter it, and more than a dozen guards are in the process of inspecting everyone who attempts to enter. You wait for over an hour, until a human man with gray hair and heavy bags under his eyes waves you over. What's your business in the city, sir?
I've come to visit. I'm sightseeing, if you will. You see, I'm actually here wayfaring. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, he kind of looks at you without saying anything for like a second longer than you're comfortable, and then he says, "No, can't say that I have."
Oh, well, Well, it's simple to say. I'm just traveling around trying to take in the sights before heading back home. I figured this would be something that I should add to the bucket list.
How long are you planning on staying in the city, sir?
Well, I don't really have any place to be immediately, so I mean, as long as I'm welcome.
Mm-hmm.
How many days would you suggest, to take it all in?
I don't know. A week? No, never mind. Why are we talking about this? Sorry, it's been a difficult couple of days. The princess is missing, and we're all just a little on edge.
Is missing? For how long? Do you know what happened?
No. I mean, not beyond what people are saying. I mean, she wasn't in her room 2 days ago, and they searched for her, and she wasn't in the castle, and, well, they haven't been able to locate her since. Everyone's a little on edge, is all.
Do they have their own type of wayfaring here? Perhaps she's just gone out to sightsee for herself?
He looks at you with... Imagine you've just, spilled coffee on your dad's shirt. And he is really pissed off because, man, he's really got to make this presentation go well. But also, you're his boy, and he loves you, So he looks at you with just, this exasperated sort of patience, and he says, We don't do that here, especially not princesses.
So, I mean, and Glimki looks around and leans in to quietly whisper, "You don't think that she's been kidnapped, do you?"
It's possible. There's been no ransom demand, but, I mean...
Well, that is quite the turn of events. I'm sorry, yes, that sounds stressful.
He kind of pauses again, and he looks you up and down. And you have a greatsword, is it? Or...
I think just a sword, longsword, sure.
Longsword? Sure. So yeah, is that strapped to your back or at your hip?
Yeah, I would imagine it's kind of clipped to the bag. Kind of his whole backpack setup here has got everything kind of clipped and tied to it.
Sure. He looks down at your the sword strapped to your pack, and he takes in the shield that you carry on your person as well. He sees a glint of armor underneath your cloak, and he says, "Assuming you know how to use the sword and board you carry with you, perhaps you could be of use. I've heard it said that the king has put out a call for, well, any who could aid in the search for the princess, and if you're interested, I believe first thing tomorrow morning he is gathering all who are willing and able and charging them with finding his daughter, so perhaps it's something you will consider."
So you're telling me you're gonna let me in, and also there's an opportunity to go on a big adventure to find this lady?
Yeah, but I wouldn't...
Okay, well, sign me up!
Alright, sure. Word of advice, I might keep your cheery disposition a little less...
Got it.
Yeah, just rein it in just a bit. And it's a difficult time.
I see, yes. Quite. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And he steps aside, and waves you through, and you are granted access to the city.
Whew.
Passing beneath the portcullis that barred your way, you find yourself standing in the streets of Erdenine. You've been to a few cities during your time away from home. Port towns on the edge of the Great Elven Forest, the land of the Dragon Lords. You've seen some of their great cities, but none have carried the same diversity and just frenetic energy of Erdenine. You see a dwarven man with gold earrings the size of dinner plates. He's bartering with a pair of slender silver dragonborn. You see a trio of children, one human, one elven, and one half-orc, go tumbling past, chasing after a patchwork ball. You hear the sound of hooves on cobblestone behind you, and you turn to see a proud-looking centaur, covered in golden armor, pushing his way through the crowd. A dwarf, which is the offspring of a dwarf and an orc, exclaims, "By the Octad, that's Keth the Waste Walker."
What? Who?
The centaur!
Oh, in the gold armor?
Did you see any other centaurs?
No, I guess not. Who was it again?
Keth, the Waste Walker. Have you not heard of him?
No, of course. Yes. Waste Walker, yeah. Wow.
He frowns at you skeptically and then walks away. Yeah, I will say, as a dwarf, he carries sort of the physical characteristics of both a dwarf and an orc. He's short, about the size of a typical dwarf, but with kind of the gray, greenish skin of an orc and the protruding tusks to match. And yeah, he walks away from you, not buying whatever it is you're selling. And what is it you want to do?
What is around me right now? Is this what is the immediate surroundings right now, kind of walking in here?
Yeah, there are more people than you have ever seen in your entire life here. Just for starters.
Okay.
There is a immense cacophony of noise, of people bartering, of horses and carriages drifting past. There's the smell of meat cooking. You see several vendors with meats that you've never seen before on skewers or just on big open fire pits that they're selling. You see a baker with just like this tray of just like 100 loaves of bread stacked up on top of each other.
Is there any like hint of I don't know, like trees in the city? Like, is it all stone cobblestone buildings? Do they have any like green space?
I would say in these early parts of the city, these immediate parts that you first entered, there does not appear to be much green space. There's like maybe the occasional like potted plant, but yeah, far less greenery than you're used to.
Okay. Yeah, this is a bit much. Okay. Jeez. I'm gonna go up to one of the potted plants.
Okay.
And Glimki's just gonna go up to one of these potted plants, kind of. It's gonna sound weird. He's just gonna bury his face in it and just breathe in, and get some of that green smell in his lungs.
Yeah, you get a nice green hit. Kind of feel a little bit of pollen enter your sinuses. And as you do, you feel kind of like a tingling on the back of your head, kind of in your hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I kind of pull my hood a little like tighter. And yeah, and I'm just gonna, I guess, continue walking through the town.
Okay. Yeah, is there anything particular you wish to see or do as your first order of business upon arriving here?
Yes. I've been looking for like libraries. I don't know if they got any of those here. They must have a big one.
I'm sure they do. You don't know for a fact. You don't have a travel guide for this place, unfortunately. I think probably back home you occasionally read there's a rather famous halfling travel blogger by the name of Vera Loneberry. She's put out many a guide over the years, but unfortunately you don't have a copy with you of her most recent travel guide.
Darn it.
But it's figured in your travels so far, big city often has library or bookstores.
Yeah, let me suss one of those out. I think that's gonna be the move here.
Okay. Give me an investigation check.
Oh, hell yeah. First roll of the game.
Woo!
It's to find a library.
16.
Ooh. Okay. You kind of start to navigate the streets. You're walking. You see like these great open marketplaces. There's stacks of spices piled up. You see this minotaur woman kind of pushing her way through the crowd with these just jagged horns poking out of her head. You see several people dressed in these red silks that cover every inch of their body. You don't see a bit of skin. And you ask around, and you are pointed in a direction towards a bookstore called There Once Was.
Wow. What does it look like? How big is it?
It's not huge. You look around, and while this city is rather spectacular, it does seem to be a rather crowded part of the city. You get the sense that there's just a lot of people here, not necessarily the wealthiest people in the city, take up residence in this neighborhood. The shop itself is moderately sized. It's got a simple sign above the door that just like depicts a stack of 3 or 4 books, and there's a little bell above the door as you push it open. A little bell goes off, and you see a rather young looking elven woman, and she kind of looks as the bell rings. She kind of looks around, scans the room, and then looks down, and she spots you and says, "Oh, hello. How might I help you, young master?"
I guess Glimki takes a look around the store here. It's probably one of the more substantial shops that he's been in.
Possibly the most substantial.
And he fishes around in his pockets to pull out a list. And he says, if you don't mind, could you help me find some books?
Of course. It'd be my pleasure.
Of course, I don't need all of them here. Perhaps we can start with something simple. Maybe this one here, the Lightning Wolf. Have you heard of that?
Yes. The Lightning Wolf is rather popular amongst our younger readers. I have not read it myself, but it's my understanding it is quite the dramatic tale full of all manner of, lightning and wolves.
That sounds like the one.
I might still have a copy on reserve. Give me 1 second. And she steps away. She goes into the back. You hear sound of rustling papers, trash can lid, a screeching cat. She comes back out with a copy of a book. It is bound in leather, and there is a embossed wolf with lightning kind of streaking out behind it on the cover.
Wow, that looks like the one.
Wonderful. Now, I must tell you, it was on reserve. It is promised to another buyer.
Oh.
But she kind of looks around conspiratorially. She says, well, perhaps for the right price, I might be able to give it to you instead.
Oh. How long has it been on hold for?
A few days.
And how much might it cost to skip the line?
Oh, perhaps 7 gold pieces?
Interesting. Do you have another book on this list that I could look at? I would just feel terrible. The money, definitely not the problem. There's a bit of a moral dilemma here. I really don't think that I should be taking this out of the palms of somebody. For all we know, it could be belonging to a future child that will enjoy it, and I would hate to steal this away from them.
A future child? Yet to be born?
Perhaps.
Very well, very well. Perhaps I can search for something else. She takes the list from you, and she she looks around. What is another title on your list?
I'm looking for another one called the Floral Compendium, a guide of the flora of the realm.
Ah, yes. I think we may have a copy of that. It's maybe an older edition. It might not be the most current, but it makes it a collector's item, of course.
I see.
She kind of goes back into the back of the store, and she comes back with this dust cover. There's like a paper sleeve on it that's like torn in several spots. And she says, almost as good as new.
And I am almost afraid to ask, how much do you think this would run me?
I could excuse it for 5 gold.
Hey, this is a question for the DM. I don't know how much money I have.
With your given background, you would have started with 10 gold.
Oh, wow.
You've been on the road for quite some time. I would say you've probably like had to work the occasional odd job, like pay for your way, done a bit of scrounging. I would say you have 10 gold. Because we'll say you started with like, a decent amount from your family to help you on your way, or say you're down to like your last 10.
Can I take a look at the book?
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to, see if it's the right one.
Yeah, you kind of pull over a stool and are able to climb up, so you can look down at the counter, and you flip it open, and there's these beautiful illustrations of various plants and kind of like pencil line work.
How's the condition?
Not bad. The dust jacket's a little beat up, but the book itself is in pretty good shape.
Interesting. Is she watching me right now?
Intently.
While I'm looking at this one, do you mind looking for another one of the titles on here?
Give me a persuasion roll.
Okay. Hey. 10.
10 is what you needed.
Wow.
She says, of course. And she kind of looks through your list, and she says, I might have a few of these still. I will be back momentarily. And she disappears once more into the back of the store.
All right. While she's not looking, can I dog-ear one of the pages?
Okay, sure. Yeah, you quickly crease the corner of a certain plant. And
Yeah, like a third into the book.
Okay, very good. Yeah, 100%. And she comes back a few minutes later, shaking her head. She says, I'm sorry, I'm afraid this would be the only one on your list today.
That's unfortunate. And I'll take that list back from you. Thank you.
Certainly.
Yeah, I was flipping through the book, and it seems, that perhaps this book had a previous owner. It looks like someone got somewhat into it, marked a page.
Oh, allow me. And she flips it open, and she says, easy enough fix. And she mutters off a slight incantation, and you watch as the crease decreases. It uncreases itself, and the page is mended and regains its former smoothness. She says, there we go. Practically good as new.
Perfect. So 4 gold, right?
Give me another persuasion roll.
11.
11. She says, all right. I suppose I can do 4 gold today.
Is there any cool bookmarks?
I'm afraid not. I could wrap it in paper if you would like, if you plan on traveling with it for some time.
That would be very kind. Yes, thank you.
And she takes it and she wraps it in brown paper and ties a little ribbon around it. Not like a ribbon, but like a string, around it, and hands it to you and says, please consider us for any future purchases you may require. We get new inventory in all the time.
So that would be great. I may come back. If that book, The Lightning Wolf, is still here after a couple of days, I could be convinced. Maybe take that off your hands.
Very good. If it is still in opposition, then I will keep you in mind.
Perfect. Thank you. Cling cling.
You step out. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Ah! Oops. Oh no. Okay. That's a nice 4.
Awesome. Okay. You step out onto the street, kind of, holding this book in hand, and you are hit by a carriage. You take 7.
By the gods!
Rest in peace, Glimki.
You take
What the?
7 bludgeoning damage. And your head kind of hits the ground painfully, and your ears start ringing. And we are going to cut away. We leave Glimki on the streets of the Silver District, as he may one day learn it is called, and we travel northwards. And we travel over this great waterfall, the Ocean Crest Falls, through winding streets and into a rather nice area of the city. There is greenery here. There's wide, sprawling streets. They're, lined with ever-burning torches and beautifully enchanted trees that are always in bloom. And we see a manor house with a courtyard, kind of well-maintained grass around it and several shrubs. And we kind of pan up to the second floor and through the window. And it is there we see an elven woman. She has a rather nasty bruise on her head, and if you are paying close attention, you will notice that she winces whenever she takes a deep breath, probably on account of at least 1, maybe 2 cracked ribs. Faunalyn Vaydark. It has been 2 days since the incident at the Drifting Terraces. As I said, you have a bruise on your head that is starting to fade, and cracked ribs that, despite the best efforts of a healing potion and several days of bed rest, appear to be well and truly damaged. But you are alive, which is more than what some can say. Would you please describe yourself?
Yes, so Faunalyn is a youngish looking elven woman. She's quite tall and lanky, and even now in this kind of bed-rested state, she's wearing just the most ridiculous, old-timey, over-the-top, opulent garb that you've ever seen. I think she's wearing God, what's his name? The guy who throws money out the window. Ghost of Christmas Past. Scrooge! She's wearing like a Scroogian kind of nightshirt and like full pants, and there's ruffles, and these are her sleep clothes. And she's still wearing her wig. She's never without it. She has on at all times in this sphere of opulence, just a very tall, towering Regency, not even a Regency, like French Rococo style wig that's just adorned with gems and bows. Yeah, she has terrible eyesight, so she's at all times wearing glasses, little round glasses that kind of perch on the edge of her nose. And despite being very young, there's something about the giant gray wig and tiny glasses and ridiculous clothes that give her a very old ladyish vibe. But if you looked closely enough, you would see that she has very nice sort of hazel eyes and a spray of freckles that she is off to hide those freckles behind thick, powdery, white, French Rococo style makeup.
Amazing.
She's a lot. What can I say?
And as she is laying there in bed, resting, it's a few hours after dawn, after Nova, and you hear a gentle knocking at the door.
Yes, who is it?
It's me, Fallow.
Oh God, Fallow, get in here immediately.
And the door swings open, and you see your companion and confidant, Fallow Kent. She is the head of the servants. She manages the servants for House Berthold, which is the house that has put you up for the summer. And you see that she has short, curly white hair, these thick glasses that kind of, if she was ever to take them off, you see she's got some pretty dense cataracts that have formed. She often wears simple dresses made of shearling in various shades of green and blue. Today it's a maroon dress. And she says, how are you, dear? Are you doing well today?
Honestly, Fallow, it's freaking ridiculous that their healing potions can't fix these goddamn ribs. I mean, I thought this was an upper-class house. I would never say this to my hosts, but, like, what the hell?
Well, you did fall off the drifting terraces, dear.
No, darling, I didn't fall. I jumped.
Okay, I mean, that's a fair point, I suppose, but, I mean, point being, you did fall a great height, and I think, by all accounts, you're lucky to be alive. So, I mean, far be it from me to suppose anything, but I mean, I don't know. If I was to fall off a magical tower and only had a couple cracked ribs and a bruise, I'd probably count that a win.
Fallow, if you had jumped off of the tower, you would have disintegrated into dust.
She scowls at you and then starts to laugh. You're wicked.
Yes, you look positively wicked today. Are you trying to impress someone with this maroon shift of yours?
No, I just wanted to wear maroon. Is that so wrong?
A bold choice given the season.
Oh, yes, I know. Well, I was just hoping to bring some levity. Things have been so dour these last couple days. I thought putting on this red dress would make everyone feel happy.
And it has, Fallow. Spot on as always.
Oh, thank you.
Did you come here for a reason, or just to sort of, shoot the shit? Because I'm always down to shoot whatever shit might pass my window.
Well, on one hand, no, I came with a reason, but I also am here for you if you wish to discuss what happened, or...
I do want to discuss what happened, because the thing that I can't get off my mind is the fact that Lord Jasper Bristol has been cuckolded by Baron Ramus Humiliation. I just can't stop thinking about it. While I was falling from the tower, that was the last thought that I had before I hit. I was thinking, God, what a nightmare if I can't tell Fallow that Lord Jasper Bristol has been cuckolded.
That's fascinating. I think we need to talk about your priorities at some point, but it's not my place to say. Interesting. That is quite the allegation. Wherever did you hear this?
Oh, I heard it at the soiree the other night. The one that immediately preceded my near-life-ending injuries.
Right, yes, famously. Well, yes, if you would... Well, humiliation is the topic of conversation. I did hear that Lord Berthold has made his way to Humiliation House this morn to attempt to resolve the situation and what has transpired as of late.
Sorry, resolve what exactly?
Well, the fact that you received a signed letter, or rather a sealed letter, from Humiliation House, and then proceeded to nearly die, I suppose.
Right, that situation, yes.
Yes, perhaps if you thought a little less about gossip, you would remember that you nearly died 2 days ago.
Okay, Red Dress Fallow, you're feeling rather spicy today. You know what? I deserve that. But,
Yes.
consider
Considering.
that Lady Larasta has taken a bugbear for a lover. Do you know Lady Larasta?
Oh, you're wicked. You can't be trouting around that rumor. I heard he's just an incredibly hairy man.
Well, I haven't seen him, but, if I ever make it out of this bed. If I should live long enough, then I shall be sure to let you know. Now, I have a question, Fado. Have I had a visitor by the name of Sir Cloutier?
No, there's been no visitors, I'm afraid. Um,
Oh, it is so hard to find good pawns these days.
well, I think it's the simple fact that your incident was the talk of the town until the princess went missing approximately 8 hours later, in which case that immediately supplanted any political or social interest you had managed to garner, I'm afraid.
Oh yes, I completely forgot about the whole kidnapping thing. Yes, I suppose that is rather a big deal.
Kidnapping's a rather strong word. We don't know what's happened to the fair princess.
Well, I can't see that she would run away. You see, I happen to have met Sir Prince Elling Malfirth the other night, when he saved my life and all, and I can't imagine that she would run away tremendously fast from a marriage with such a dashing hunk of a human.
Yeah, that's true. If I was but 20 years younger.
Oh, fellow.
And she says, granted, I did come here with a purpose beyond idle gossip. Lady Berthold is in a rather, frankly, she's mortified about what happened to you, and she wishes to remedy the situation in the only way she knows, by which I mean she wishes to take you shopping to replace the dress that was ruined when you fell off, or shall I say, jumped off, my apologies, ma'am, from the drifting terraces.
Well, I am, as you know, tremendously injured, and it's really a miracle that I lived, and it's really rather down to my strong constitution and dazzling bravery that I managed to survive the song. But I suppose if if I must go out and convalesce for my health, then I suppose I must do it. And I spring out of bed and run to my closet with the appearance of someone who is completely uninjured.
Amazing. Fallow helps you get ready, and it goes fairly smoothly. You do want to pass out when she cinches your corset, but
Tighter!
And she acquiesces. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay, can I roll for snatchedness? I rolled high as hell. I rolled a 19. And what do I roll for snatchedness?
I'm gonna link these two together. She cinches it. You have a 19 Constitution save, and you're like, tighter, and she cinches it even tighter, and damn, you're snatched.
I guess those cracked ribs just broke all the way. Hey.
Yeah. I mean,
the fewer the ribs, the skinnier the waist.
Ain't that the truth? I've been telling my doctor, and she just won't do it for me. So Faunalyn, you are aided by Fallow. She helps you get dressed, and you make your way downstairs from your guest room, and kind of make your way out onto the front step, where you find Lady Amala Berthold. She is a gnomish woman in her late 60s, which is, of course, middle-aged by gnomish standards. She is the Viscountess of House Berthold. She has chestnut brown hair, but you have seldom seen it because she never leaves home without a powdered wig. You are very much kindred spirits in that regard. You know that she also prefers to wear fancy dresses, often in shades of purple, which is what she's wearing today. She's wearing a very frilly lavender gown, and she sees you step out onto the front step, and she says, "Hello, dear. How are you today?"
Oh, darling, I'm quite malaised. You see, I have a dreadful bruise. I just hope my makeup has covered it up adequately.
In your time that you've known Lady Berthold, she is a very light-hearted individual. She doesn't care to be bogged down by the trials and tribulations of the world.
Yes, that's why she drinks so much, eh?
Exactly. And
she's a canonical drunk, for those of you listening.
And she kind of, you watch as she kind of chews on her lip for a second, and she says, I'm so terribly sorry about what happened to you. It's so dreadful.
Well, I mean, it's rather not your fault, darling. In fact, I feel a bit bad because I did ask for a chaperone, and then Equa got, well, brutally murdered, which I feel, rather down about. Not only were you fond of her, I think, but also now you've got an opening to fill in the house, and that's terrible bother.
It is. It's fine. I mean, Fallow will find someone, I'm sure. It's not really my obligation, my responsibility. It's fine.
Yes, no, that Fallow is quite good at her job. I I rather admire her skills as a housekeeper.
As do I. She's,
Yes, have you considered giving her a sort of a raise or something like that? It's just that I rather found that in my own household, it's important to monetarily appreciate my, my staff so that they don't get whisked away by someone else, poached, if you will. And of course, money is nothing to us, isn't it?
Yes, not an obstacle at all.
An additional 2 gold piece a fortnight, I should think, should be adequate.
Give me a persuasion roll.
I gotta represent my homies. Oh! Okay, that's a 16 plus a 5 is a 21.
She says, yes, that's an excellent point, Lady Vaydark. I shall most assuredly inform Fallow of her increase in wages.
Quite. Now, there was one other matter to discuss before we head out for our little shopping escapade, and that is, I was wondering rather if my the incident the other night could be sort of kept out of the papers, as it were. I know that you are tremendously discreet, and I just think it would be such a shame if my name were sort of circulated and people sort of, their attention was sort of drawn to me, and then people were like, oh, Lady Faunalyn Vaydark is here? That's strange because I thought she was somewhere else, or, something like that, because rather it would, just thinking it might draw away attention from the terrible tragedy that is Lady Callista's disappearance.
Well, I certainly haven't told anyone about it, but, I mean, well, my husband, Lord Casram, is at Humiliation House, or he was rather earlier today, and did discuss the incident with the Baron. So I can't promise that it won't spread from there.
Well, perhaps you might have just a word with the Baron and say, or with your husband, the Viscount, and say, it's no biggie. Really no biggie at all, because I am just fine. In fact, I've never been skinnier, and I just don't really think that people need to be talking about me when really they should be talking about, for example, the princess's kidnapping, or Lady Larasta and her ferocious lover, or the cuckoldry that I told you about, or any sort of other piece of scintillating gossip.
Give me another persuasion roll.
Can I have advantage for the use of the word cuckolding?
You cannot, because there's a lot of that being thrown around.
What about
Don't need it, because that's a
scintillizing?
dirty
That
24. Just making up words.
24 persuasion. You make your point, and she looks like she's about to say something, and then you bring up the princess, and she says, oh yes, Princess Callista, how awful. Yes, that should be what we all focus on these days. I heard that, well, it's probably just a rumor, but it's very interesting. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, we shouldn't gossip, so yes, tell me.
She gestures towards there's a nearby carriage, and you see there is a gnomish fellow sitting atop it. There's a couple of horses set to pull it, and standing by the door of the carriage, you see a dwarf. And she says, I'll tell you on the way. This is Crombeck, Lung Crusher. He is a little bit of added security that we have hired to escort any members of the household as they venture out into the streets, whether it be us or you. Crombeck here will be, well, here to protect us. And yeah, you look over at this dwarf. He's about 4-ish feet tall. He's got gray skin with just like the smallest bit of brown mixed in, kind of like a taupe color. He's got a top knot and these prominent tusks that stick out. And he kind of nods his head politely and says,
Lady Vaydark, it's a pleasure to meet your acquaintance. I will be keeping you safe henceforth during the entirety of my contract with House Berthold.
Pleased to meet you, Sir Lung Crusher. And may I say, what a charming and evocative name you have.
He grimaces as you say that, actually. And he says,
Actually, it's my father's surname. I inherited it from him, and, well, to be frank, I don't care for it, but it does get you hired, so...
Did he really just pull up, please, Mr. Lung Crusher was my father's name?
he did.
Okay. Okay, should I call you Crombeck then? It feels rather forward, but I'm fine with it if you are.
I am at your service, milady. You may call me what you wish.
Okay, Lung Crusher it is. Onward!
So he pulls out a stool and helps Lady Berthold, who, as I mentioned, is a gnomish woman, helps her into the carriage, which is built for someone of your size and stature. You climb in without necessarily needing a stool, and the gnome sitting atop, who you would know as Calston Faddlefettle, who drives the Berthold carriage, he kind of goes, yeah, and the carriage starts to move into the streets, and as it's kind of rocking its way through the streets, Lady Berthold leans in and she says, okay, so I don't think I've ever asked you this, but have you ever been to Madame Fauvermont's?
Have I?
Are you asking me?
That's a question for the DM, yeah.
You have not. If you want to give me a history roll, I can maybe tell you something about it.
Ooh, that's not good. That is a 4.
4. You're new to the city, and you have never heard of Madame Fauvermont's.
No, darling, I can't say I have.
Ah, well, we will have to remedy this today. She takes up residence in the Silver District, which I know, how gauche, but she makes the most spectacular dresses, and usually it is months-long wait to get in, but I managed to pull a few strings, and she had an opening today, so we're going to head over there. We should be there in maybe 20 minutes or so, and in the meantime, and she kind of gestures out the window, and the carriage is moving out of the Sapphire District, which you are in, over the Ocean Crest Bridge, which kind of takes you to the opposite side of the waterfall. And then there's a kind of sloping path that leads down to the lower part of the city, the Undercity, if you will. And she gestures out the window at this cascading waterfall, and it gets quite loud. And she says, I heard 2 nights ago, on the night the princess disappeared.
And the night of my attempted murder.
Yes, also on the night of your attempted murder.
Carry on, darling.
I heard that the captain of the guard, Arden Duthane, he allegedly received a report that there was a woman who threw herself over the falls on the night of the incident, but no body was found. Isn't that fascinating?
I suppose it's fascinating in the sense that sometimes bodies float when they hit the water from a tremendous height, but also you're telling me they threw themselves off of the top of the falls. What
Yes.
height is that, would you say? Like, what is that, like 100 feet or something?
Oh, probably, give or take.
I mean, okay, yes, I guess it's interesting that no body was found after it fell 100 feet.
Also that a young woman threw herself off the falls the night the princess goes missing?
Oh, actually, I think I fixated on the wrong part of that news. That actually is rather interesting. See, a young woman could be the princess.
Yes! That's what I thought too!
Insight, did she think that?
Go ahead.
Okay. That's an
Not-
8.
Now this is scandalous news.
Skin to 10 to titillating.
With an 8, you get the sense that not only did she already know, or she'd already made that connection between woman throws herself over waterfall, princess is missing. Not only has she already made that connection, she is feeling incredibly smug that she made it before you, because typically in your social encounters, she can be a little ditzy, you know? She's sometimes a little drunk by 2 p.m. And for once, she's beating you to the punch, and damn, it feels good.
Do you know what? I must say, Amala darling, you really are rather clever when it comes to these sort of deductions. You know, I always think that. I just know when I give you a juicy piece of gossip that you're going to get to the heart of it rather quickly. I always think that.
She kind of starts to smile smugly and is about to respond when suddenly you hear from outside, Calston goes, "Oh no!" And there's there's 2 pronounced bumps as the carriage rolls over something.
Oh dear. I wonder what that was. Should we go check?
Well, perhaps Crombeck could take out. That seems like Crombeck. Would you mind seeing?
All right, Crombeck, let's go. And I want to hop out with Crombeck.
He says, "All right, well," and he's got this like sword strapped to his back, and he pulls it off, and hops down. And you see, lying on the ground bleeding, just a few feet behind the carriage, is a gnomish fellow with a kind of cloak. You notice that his hood, which perhaps was at one point pulled over his head, is kind of fallen back as he's lying on the ground. There's a paper-bound book just a few inches from his outstretched hand. And Glimki, you are feeling like you've just been run over.
By the gods! Where did that come from?
You got to watch out!
Crombeck, go check to see if he's alive, would you?
Crombeck starts to make his way over, and you see that Carlston, the carriage driver, he is kind of standing next to this gnome, and he's kind of kicking him. He says, "Oh, come on, get up! If you die, I'm going to lose my license."
I'm not gonna die, okay?
Oh, thank God.
I'm just a little surprised that these streets are so bloody narrow. I just stepped out of this store.
Glimki, you look up, and there's this gnomish fellow standing over you, and a little ways back is another dwarf, and he's got this sword drawn. He's making his way towards you, and he leans in next to the gnome and says, "I could kill him, and then there'll be no witnesses, and we can pretend none of this ever happened." And
I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I can hear you.
Do I hear that?
you do. He's subtle, but he's not that subtle.
Listen, there's no need to kill anybody.
You see, if he's dead,
Look,
he can't go to the cops.
look.
No witnesses. That's my motto. And Calston kind of looks down and says, "Well, that's a tempting proposition, because I really do need this job. But
All right, enough, gentlemen, enough. Let's not kill anybody, I don't think. You know, the creature is right. These streets are shamefully narrow. It's honestly a disgrace to the capital. Now, tell me, young sir, are you well?
I've been better, but look, there's no need to get the guard involved. I mean, the only thing that I think is truly damaged is this book. Look, one of these pages is dog-eared. And I fold another page.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. It is absolutely dreadful when one's precious belongings are destroyed. Now, how can we compensate you for this dreadful loss?
Especially because I just bought it, and I bought it for 5 gold.
You know what? I really think that you should be compensated in full. Now, Lung Crusher, what's your name? Faddle, have either of you got petty cash on you? The gentleman needs to be paid.
that's what I make in a week, Mum.
Well,
God.
guess I saved up for 8 months to buy this, so you can spare it.
Now, it's my opinion that I think my friend here wishes you were dead, and I'm open to it, but I'm going to let you live on this fine day, And in exchange, you'll stay out of the way of Lady Berthold's carriage henceforth.
Right.
This seems rather a raw deal, I must say. And also, may I say, Lung Crusher, let's take it down a notch. Do you or do you not work sort of in a roundabout way for me?
I do not.
Oh,
That's fine. It's fine. I appreciate you standing up for me. It's fine. We'll call it even at 4 gold.
yes, I think that's fair. Lung Crusher, cough up.
Give me a persuasion roll.
Can I?
Luckily,
Am I
lady
helping at all? Or
This
am I
might
making
be
it
it.
worse?
You're definitely not helping.
That's an 18.
He scoffs and says, no, that's not in my job description.
Yes, I will be speaking to Lady Berthold about your job description and whether it will continue to be a job description for long. Now, tell me, person who was hit by the carriage, what is your name?
It's strange. I feel like I've been hit so hard I'm starting to forget.
That is a strange name. But no matter, my name is Lady Faunalyn Vaydark.
That sounds pretty fancy. Sounds like someone might have 3 gold.
Do I have 3 gold? How much gold do I have?
Yeah, you've got 3 gold.
Okay, I'm gonna cough up 3 gold. And as I do it, I think I'm gonna pick up your book off the ground and pull out my 3 gold and take a look at the title. What is the title of this book again?
It was the Floral Compendium.
Ooh, and have I read this, Dungeon Master?
No, 100% not. You have 15 gold, now 12 gold.
That's not as rich as I was hoping, but not as poor as I feared.
It does, your lifestyle does
Child's
carry
play.
a certain cost to it that often finds one burning through the coin.
Yeah, that's very valid.
Looks like this book cost me 1 gold.
Yeah, this is gonna be a problem when we're adventuring together because I think I'm pretty bad with money, so it's working in your favor now, but not for long. Yes, this what a charming book. I can't say I've read it.
Yes, I'm looking forward to reading it, and thank you for the gesture of the payment here. That'll definitely cover the damages. Yeah, I'll just completely forget this ever happened. Please give me my book.
Yes, of course. And 3 gold is, I think, very fair considering the book was practically ruined. I mean, that one page was completely crumpled up.
That's what I'm saying. Yes,
It's a
that's
nightmare.
what
It's
I'm saying.
unreadable.
Again, thank you, and please watch where you're going. Next
Well, I
time.
wasn't driving, but okay. Let's cool it with the advice. You just stepped in front of a carriage.
Okay, well, hold on now. Where else am I supposed to step?
Actually, I hadn't thought of it that way. I scarcely walk anywhere, so I suppose it must be rather hard for you folks who are well, who can't afford a carriage, so.
Yes, and I'm starting to think I ripped myself off. And I'm gonna take the book and tuck it back in my bag here.
Excellent. Faunalyn, you are ushered back into the carriage and you continue on your way. Glimki, you watch this carriage go by and you kind of start limping your way down the street. You look down and see that your the knee on your pants has been torn.
God.
And you kind of start limping your way down. There's kind of just like blood. Your head is exposed. Do you pull your cloak back up or?
Oh yes.
Okay.
I guess yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, you.
I forgot to ask, did anything strike me as odd about his head?
Yeah, I think it would have.
Oh?
Well, I don't know. Would it?
I imagine
But
so.
you tell me.
Yeah, this is kind of retroactive, but I guess what you did see was this little gnome fellow has what appears to have it looks like little twigs and leaves kind of sprouting from his hairline, almost like a little branch crown. Not a crown, but little mess of growth coming out of his head.
Amazing.
I think Faunalyn might have thought that you were just like rolling in the dirt, like you just got like hit by a carriage and.
That honestly, true. It could possibly, yeah, it could totally be mistaken as that.
Yeah, so as you ruminate on that, the carriage continues on for a few more minutes and then pulls up in front of a rather simple looking store. There is a sign above it with just like a simple sign. It looks like a pair of scissors that are snipping at the chain that holds it up. And you make your way inside and you see a dwarven woman. She's looks to be, in her hundreds or so. Fairly young still by dwarven standards. She's average dwarf height, but she wears tall heels that kind of carry her above the average dwarf. And you see she's wearing this extremely fine dressing, this extremely fine gown that is in these beautiful emerald green tones. And she has some dark black hair with this a few streaks of gray in it, and she's wearing a pair of half moon glasses. And you walk in and she kind of claps her hands and says, you must be Lady Faunalyn, Vaydark. Welcome to Madame Fauvamont.
Oh, thank you, Madame Fauvamont. I've been saying for ages that I'm well overdue for a good scissoring, so let's get started.
Wonderful. We love to scissor here. Come along.
Snip, snip.
Indeed. And this dwarf kind of takes a tape measure. She pulls it out and she starts to stretch it along your various measurements, starts to take them down. And you watch as she kind of raises up a hand and a pair of scissors start to fly across and land in her hands. And then she extends her other hand and this swath of fabric starts to unravel and pours and starts to wrap around you, and she starts to snip away, and she's kind of muttering to herself, she says, no, this simply will not do. This waist, it is too snatched. And just carrying on. And you watch as kind of your guard, lung crusher, as you've taken to calling him, he kind of posts up near the door, kind of just arms crossed. Lady Berthold is looking around. There's a fine hat display along one of the side walls, and she's kind of looking at these different elaborate tiered hats with built-in veils and netting, and one that seems to have an entire bouquet of flowers stitched into it. And she's like, well, I suppose I could have a new hat. I mean, why not, after all? And this goes on for quite some time, and I would like you to tell me the dress that is made for Faunalyn.
Okay. Wow, I feel like this will be my emblematic outfit for the next little while. So, I'm thinking today is a carnation yellow vibe. We're talking
Whoa,
oranges
okay.
on yellows, hints of red. Looking at me right now is a little bit like staring into the sun. But goddamn, I look elegant,
Like
I'm
Pharos itself.
wow, like Pharos itself. I'm looking like an elegant Pharos on Earth if Pharos was made of plush fabrics. And I would say Faunalyn also tends to wear sort of a very iconic to her long dark purple cloak that has sort of an iridescent quality. And this dress does not go with that, but she does not care.
Nothing quite like wearing the most vibrant red, orange, yellow dress one can conceive during a national emergency.
Time of mourning.
It didn't occur to me, and I stand by it, but regretfully.
It's good. It's good. And as we watch these different swaths of red and orange and yellow start to wrap around and form this dress around you under the guidance of Madame Arlette Fauvamont, you are left there, and we are going to cut away to another part of the city, the Gold District, as it were. And we see a fine brick house. There's a set of stairs leading up to it and a dozen gargoyles lining the roof. And for those in the city, especially those that work in the arts, who are artists and practitioners of paint and marble, they would know that this is Betla House, the home of the Artists Guild of Erdenine, one of the most renowned artist guild in the entire world, in all of Zav. And as we make our way into this storied manor up a spiral staircase of elegant, smooth marble, we find ourselves in a studio. And there's various artists there, humans and half-elves, working away. Some are painting, some are sculpting, some are spinning clay. And there is one individual, the newest member of the Artist Guild of Erdenine, Clay Campbell, who is working on a piece. Clay, could you please describe yourself?
Yes, I am a tiefling cleric. I'm 6 foot something and beefy, kind of. She has bright red skin with black spots, brown horns, and pure yellow eyes with no pupil or iris.
Whoa.
So she's very intimidating looking right off the bat, but she's wearing like a dusty apron. She has a tail. And
Nice.
she has several gold piercings just like studded in her floppy ears. So generally her appearance kind of resembles a cow. But a red cow.
Is her tail like also like a cow's tail?
Yeah, it's like
Hell yeah.
long and has a little bush of hair at the end. Like a paintbrush.
Ah.
Amazing. And what is Clay working on this fine summer's day?
I think she is distressed. It's been 2 days since the news broke that the princess is missing, and she was on a job that night, and she feels really anxious about the princess being gone. She feels personally invested in finding the princess. So right now in her little art workspace, she is sketching pictures of an owlbear. Just like sketches of the design on the ring that her friend gave her at the end of the job.
Yeah. So yeah, you're working and you're drawing owlbear in different poses. And as you are working on that, you hear kind of stompy footsteps, and you hear a voice kind of lean over and say,
That's not very good. Owlbears don't look like that in real life.
and you look up and you see Parkley, the butler of Bethla House. Parkley is an elven man who is well over 700 years old. He has stringy white hair and a kind of pronounced bald spot on the top of his head, and he's wearing a immaculately fitted suit. Parkley seemed like a friend at first, perhaps, and in the 2 days that you have been at Bethla House, he's just been a right bastard at every given opportunity. I think probably you've tolerated it up until now, but he is just relentless with his jabs and snide remarks. And before you have a chance to respond, he says,
But furthermore, do you require sustenance, Miss Campbell? We have refreshments, and I might bring you something should you desire it.
Oh, Parkley, not right now. You say it doesn't look like an owlbear? Can you bring me some books on owlbears or something? Do we have any art references?
I shall check. And he hobbles away. He comes by later, and he's got a book, like an encyclopedia of sorts. It's the O version. He says, "Yeah, there's owlbears in here." And he sets down a cup of tea and says, "I also brought you tea in case you require tea."
Will that be all, Miss Campbell?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And then I'm like distracted by the book.
Okay. So you start flipping through the book, and I don't know. You look at, there's a picture of an owlbear, and yours doesn't seem bad by any means. And as you're working on it, you hear another set of footsteps come into the room. This time it sounds like the click-clack of high heels, and you hear the voice of Guildmaster Devakase, and she says, darling, now whatever are you working on now? This does not appear to be in your earlier vein, shall we say? What is this? What are you doing?
I have struck upon a new inspiration, and I just want to fully explore this.
How wonderful. We love when the muse strikes. It is like being loved for the first time. It is like inhaling oxygen when one is drowning. It is like. Yes. Just like that.
Can I show her the ring and ask if she's seen anything like it before?
Sure. You show it to her, and she looks at it, and she kind of puts it on her finger and then twists it and takes it off, and she says,
Interesting. It's fine craftsmanship, I suppose, but I'm not really sure if it means anything beyond that. It's just an owlbear, right?
Yeah. Have you seen anything like this piece before?
I've never seen an owlbear in person. They're rather fearsome creatures, and I would be quite terrified to see one in person unless a rugged man or especially butch lady were to rescue me.
I take the ring back.
She looks down at
Yeah.
the tea and says,
Are you drinking that?
Oh no, Parkley left that for me.
and she says, wonderful. And she reaches over and grabs it and takes a sip and then immediately spits it out and says,
Salty.
I think I've learned not to drink the drinks that Parkley brings me.
yeah, it took about, 1.5 days. And now here we are, day 2.
I drank several of them.
Yeah, several salty teas later. You've learned to not accept any food or beverage from Parkley. She sits down. I think I foregoed a physical description mostly because she was just talking from behind you. But as she leans in, you see her, and she's wearing this revealing gown. Just bodice is very, very revealing. She's got this abundance of jewelry, just like several necklaces, a ring on every finger, several earrings of her own. She's got just pale white skin and a large towering wig that tips perilously every time she moves her head. And as she leans down to get this tea, it kind of flops forward and nearly falls off her head. And then she sits back up with a dramatic flourish, and she says,
It's just terrible, isn't it, about the princess?
I think Clay just like sighs and is just like, yeah. And she's I don't know, just not really saying anything.
And that's okay, because Devakase says enough for the both of you, because she continues on and she's like,
Now, I heard that the king has put out a reward of sorts for anyone who can rescue the princess. And it just makes me wonder, what would it be like to be kidnapped and to have so many brave knights and adventurers searching for one? It does start to create ideas in one's head, I must confess.
Is there anyone in your life, madame?
Oh, there's been lovers, but who would find me if I were to go missing? It's just, it's just so much, I care a lot about the royal family, despite having no real connection to them, and frankly, it's a little odd that anyone would be invested in a family of rich muckety mucks that have never thought about me, but yet I care about them so much, and well.
And she kind of like brushes away the tears forming in her eyes. She says,
at the very least, it will create some rather stunning artwork, I have to imagine. I think in times of crises, the artists really flourish, and I just cannot wait to see what you and all of our fellow guild members are able to create in this time of tragedy.
I will do my best. And I look forward to your artworks as well.
Of course you will.
I hope this situation inspires you as it has inspired me.
It's inspired me to do something. Now I'm off to find Master Drummond. Do not look for us. Thank you.
And she struts out of the room.
Okay.
Damn.
Do not look for us. Thank you.
Those shaky exhales, man. What is going on over there?
Wistful.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm just real horned up. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
Thinking about men or a particularly butch woman.
The dream.
Same, dude.
Right? Yeah, so Clay, you continue working, and Parkley occasionally checks in and bumps into you as you're doing some line work, and starts sweeping under your feet, although it clearly is not necessary given that he has done it only an hour previously, and just generally making himself a nuisance. And yeah, you kind of continue to work throughout the day. You are a new member of the Artist Guild. You've kind of spent the last 2 days here. You've been working through some stuff, obviously, kind of putting it into your artwork. And I don't know, what is there anything you hope to accomplish with these owlbear sketches? Do you hope to turn them into sculptures or a pottery exhibit, or are they merely just a way of working through what has happened?
Bit of both. It's the only clue she really has. So she's just trying to recreate the image on the ring. And just like both work out her like stress, and it's also just like a cool ring. So
Yeah.
she is inspired artistically. She might start like more artworks based on owlbears.
That makes sense. So I would say that you work on that till, later in the afternoon, maybe 5-6 o'clock, still a few hours from supernova, but you decide, you've put in enough work for the day, and you walk past Parkley, who's muttering curses under his breath as you depart, and you set off onto the street, and you don't make it very far before you hear a voice call out, and it says, Clay, wait up, would you?
I turn around. Is it?
It is. It is Sten Dexter, and you see this human man in his early 20s. He's got sandy blonde hair and really bad acne, and his skin is like stained under his fingernails. And he runs up, and you see he's holding a steaming beef patty, one in each hand, and he says, "Oh, I got you something because I didn't know if that elf was still trying to poison you or whatever. But I brought you lunch." And he looks up at the sun and says, "It's a bit late for lunch, but that's okay. We can eat now."
Oh, thanks, Sten. I'm starving. I take the patty. Where are you headed?
Well, I was hoping to run into you, and so I sat outside all day until I thought it would be time for you to leave. And then once I got an idea that it was probably time for you to depart, I went and grabbed these, and I was just going to walk back. I could walk you back home if you want. Different dangerous times and all that.
Okay, let's go. I'll walk you back.
Wonderful. Yeah, crazy times, ain't it?
Yeah, crazy. So you heard what's going on with the princess?
Oh, I did. It's a right bad time it is. But it does present a unique opportunity for old Dexter here. You see, I have an idea.
What's your idea?
I'm going to find the princess, and then I'm going to get anything I want.
Oh?
And then I won't have to work at the dye shop anymore. I can instead, I don't know, marry the princess or become a wizard. The king said you can do whatever you want, so I am going to become a wizard.
That's great. Do you have any ideas on how to find the princess?
I've got an idea. I've been thinking about the old stories my dad told me. And who kidnaps princesses but dragons? So I'm going to go find the closest dragon and see if it has the princess.
Where is the closest dragon?
I don't know.
How are you going to find the dragon?
Well, I've got some ideas on that. I was thinking dragons like gold, so I could steal a lot of gold and then put it out in a field somewhere and then see if a dragon comes to find it. Or alternatively, perhaps the dragon is greedy and it wants 2 princesses. So I was thinking I could put myself out in a field somewhere and put on a long wig and then tie myself to a post
and then just be like, "Oh no, help me! Help me! I hope no dragons come." And those are my 2 working ideas at the moment. So step 1, find a dragon. Step 2, rescue the princess. Step 3, become a wizard.
I think you need to work on step 1.
Hmm.
Stealing is not right. I don't think you should steal some gold to do this.
Oh, you're right. I'll just tie myself to a post instead. That way, it's a victimless crime. Nobody gets hurt. And
Yeah, let's go with that plan.
Okay, perfect. Oh, sounds good. I will see you in a field somewhere, I'm sure.
Okay.
As he's walking, you see a gnomish man limping his way up the street. You see that he's bleeding from the knee, and he's carrying a torn paper wrapping that's wrapped around a book. And he kind of limps past you as you are walking. Sten is telling you in great detail about how he's going to make himself look like a princess.
I like step aside so that we're not standing in his way on these narrow streets.
The streets are so narrow.
I was like, "Oh, are you all right?"
I've been better. Thank you for asking. Actually, this is the most someone's actually reached out to me this entire time I've been here.
No, I actually work at an infirmary down in Copper District.
Oh. Well, then perhaps you could take a look at this knee. Which is funny because I actually could probably take care of this myself.
And yet you haven't.
Yeah,
I didn't have the chance. I was struck by a vehicle.
Oh, did you get their license number?
No, but I did get her name, but she did pay me to forget it.
Okay. That's good.
And as I honestly, I think maybe that bump to the head has created a bit of a brain fog, but it is becoming clearer, and I'm going to reach down. I'm just going to use some of my lay on hands.
Perfect.
How much damage did you say?
I believe
7?
it was 7.
I think it's 7, yeah. Yeah, I can see it
so
now.
You heal yourself for 7?
Yeah.
The fog in your brain clears up. The 7 points of damage that were done to your knee fade away. The compression fractures that lined your body are set and are healed, and you are right as rain. And this blonde-haired young man looks at you with kind of a shocked expression. Says, "Well, ain't that just the way? You're a wizard."
Well, not quite.
So listen,
a wizard.
I've got a plan. I'm going to rescue a princess so I can become a wizard.
Hey, I also have a plan
Oh,
to rescue the
What's
princess.
your plan?
he stiffens up and says, "Well, then I suppose that makes us rivals then."
No,
Well,
let's work together.
Hold on a minute.
Sten, you can help with our plan.
I'm not just about to hand my plan out for free.
I'll hand out mine for free if you hand out yours for free.
Deal.
And Sten proceeds to tell you about how he's planning on going out into the nearest field and tying himself to a post until a dragon kidnaps him.
I'm surprised to say my idea was quite similar. Some slight variation, less wigs, and no dragon.
Similar minds think great. That's what I always say.
And fools rarely differ. But we'll see about the whole dragon thing. I hadn't had that factored into consideration. I was thinking that it might be someone in the family.
Well, I don't know if you know much about the royal family, but there is King Farron Galtrees and his daughter Callista Galtrees, and that's about where the lineage ends.
Well, then there it is. It's the father.
Holy shit, you solved the case already. I'm never going to be a wizard now.
Hey, maybe one day. And I clasp him on the back.
He says, "All right, well, Clay, I gotta go. I need to go stain some more fabric and work on a convincing dress, and I'll see you around. I'm not giving up on this dragon idea just yet."
Okay, good luck with that. If you stop by the shop later, maybe Madame Arlette can help you with that.
Oh, that's a
Your
good
dress.
idea. I don't know if she... well, maybe. I mean, I think she owes me one. We've given her a few discounts, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I can afford her prices, but yeah, that's a good idea. Because if you're going to do something, you may as well commit to it fully. So while I don't have the money for one of her dresses, I will certainly borrow some money so that I can afford one of her dresses, because one day I'll be a wizard and I can make my own money.
That
That's the
sounds
spirit.
wrong.
Yeah. No, that's totally.
Anyway, toodaloo! And he walks down the street, popping the rest of his beef patty into his mouth.
There's a friend of yours?
Yeah. He works with my landlord.
Ah, interesting fellow. And he may be onto something with this whole dragon thing.
Yeah. Do you know anything about dragons? Do they really kidnap princesses?
Well, in the stories that I've heard, yes.
Do you know of any dragons?
No.
'Cause Sten didn't really know how to find one. Those were his only ideas.
To be honest, I've only heard of them in stories and in folk tales and legend. I don't think I know anyone who's actually ever seen one. But, I mean, there's a chance. I bet probably the same amount of chance that the dad is in on it. So, maybe we're as close to solving this as one another.
Yeah, lots to think about.
Have I ever seen a tiefling before?
I would say during your time abroad, you spent some time in the elven city of Talon Shan, which of course is a port town. That's how you got to Al Arsha. I would say in Talon Shan, you probably saw a couple of tieflings, and they looked nothing like the individual standing in front of you.
That was my second question I was going to ask was, is this this spotted red patina that I sensed in for me? Is this, so this is not normal.
What is normal?
Not normal, but
You've
what I've
got
seen
trees
before.
growing out of your head.
They don't know that.
Yeah, it definitely, she seems atypical for your understanding of the world.
Oh, well,
This looks to be like a cow person, essentially.
yeah, I like your spots.
Thank you.
That's cool. It makes you quite unique. I have something that makes me quite unique. If you and I pull my hood back and I shake my hair.
It sounds like wind going through a forest canopy, just whistling amongst rustling leaves.
What do I see? Like, what am I looking at?
So sticking out of his brown hair, is like what looks like small twigs or branches growing out of his hair, and on each of them there's some small budding leaves. Some still coming to maturity, I guess. Some others kind of grown out and hanging from the little twigs.
Oh, I love your branches.
Thank you.
Very stylish. How did you do that?
I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I had quite a fall, and woke up with these.
Oh, so this happened recently.
Yeah, well, I mean, like 8 months ago.
Oh. Have they been growing? Have you been, like, giving it sunlight and water?
As much as they need.
How does it feel? What does it feel like?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it that much. I mean, I don't really feel them on my head, but when I touch them with my hands, they feel like twigs.
Have you gotten it checked out by anyone?
That's an interesting question. No, I actually quite like them the way they are, so I have no interest in fixing it.
That's fair. I think it looks good on you.
Thank you. Did you have a plan for this whole princess situation?
Yes, okay. So, I pull out my sketches of the owlbear.
Oh, you have
And-
drawings.
Yeah, I think an owlbear arranged for the kidnapping of the princess.
So not a dragon and not the king. This is inspired.
Yeah.
And what makes you believe an owlbear has anything to do with it?
I take out the ring as well and I show the ring. I'm pretty sure this has something to do with the princess's disappearance.
This ring?
Yeah,
With the owlbear on it?
I think so.
I may have to take your word for it. Where did you happen across the ring?
So I was working a job, just like a side gig, and
That's not sketchy at all.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was just
I don't know what
saying-
you're talking about.
But halfway through, I started to get like a weird feeling about the job. It was something was off, and the delivery was odd. And my friend grabbed this ring from one of the people who dropped off the package. But as I was carrying the package, I think it might have been the princess. And then Clay breaks down into tears.
Oh.
She's just
Can
crying.
I do a quick perception check? I would like to look around for onlookers. Is there people around us?
Yeah, give me a perception roll.
Is anyone spying on us here? Oh no, 11.
There's people on the street. I think a few people glance over as she starts to cry, but it doesn't appear like anyone's listening in.
Okay, so the gnome, that's half this person's height.
I'm like squatting next to you, like fully crying.
Puts a arm kind of on their person and kind of tries to gesture you over to the side of the street here and kind of get out of view. It's all right. You wouldn't have known. But have you told anybody else about this?
No, well, have I told anyone else? Would I have told anyone else?
I don't think so. I mean, if you want to have, you can, but I don't think you've told Sten.
No, I've not
And-
told Stan.
I mean, I think the other people in your life that you would tell about this either don't live in this city or were there when it happened.
Yeah, I think she was probably bottling up the guilt, and that's why she's sobbing right now.
Well, I can tell that this is something that has affected you deeply, and I'm sure that you had no intention, but this is important information. We should probably tell somebody.
We have to find the princess. We have to find her.
I agree. Perhaps some more information would help, but before we get too deep, perhaps I should ask your name.
Oh, I'm Clay. What's your name?
Clay, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Glimki. My friends call me Glim or Kiki or any number of nicknames. But you can choose one for me if you'd like.
Oh, Glimky's such a sweet name.
Thank you. But I think we should probably find someone who needs to hear this. No. I mean, I heard that tomorrow they're looking for people to potentially go look for them. So I mean, is it a situation where perhaps we could save them all the trouble and get them this information?
You're right. You're right. I think I need to come clean.
Well, come clean. I
Yeah, I need to go. I'm like, I start heading towards the ocean crest, the bridge to go into, like, towards the upper districts.
Okay. So yeah,
I guess I'm following you.
perfect. You kind of turn back the way you came, and you find yourself standing at the base of a immense set of stairs. Glimki, you see this waterfall, and it's deafening. And inexplicable, you see like houses lined up at the base of it. It's just like water flowing past them. And somehow people live amongst this constant noise, and you don't really understand how. And you climb this set of stairs, this thick stone stairway, and you see this bridge that spans across this, like kind of alongside at the top of this waterfall, spans over to a nearby island. And standing in front of the two of you is several guards, kind of dressed in uniform. They've got halberds, helmets on, and the one guard is a kind of overweight human guy. He's got a kind of a friar tuck sort of, bald spot on top, kind of horseshoe sort of hairstyle. And he says, "What's your business?"
I have to speak to the captain of the guard. I saw the princess. I saw her.
Well, well, hold on. We think we saw her, right?
I'm like, Clay is a wreck right now. She's just like still like tear tracked.
Give me a persuasion roll.
18. Okay, wait. Persuasion +4. Oh my gosh. Okay. 22.
22. He kind of furrows his brow and says, "You've seen the princess, have you?" And she says,
Yeah, I saw her. I saw her.
All right. Well, you've seen the princess. All right, follow me then. Go along.
And I'm coming too.
Yeah, I'm like holding it. I'm holding Glimki's hand and I'm pulling.
Here we go.
The two of you make your way over the Ocean Crest Bridge and into the Sapphire District. It's kind of the first of the nicer districts in the city. It's on this island connected by several bridges to other parts of the city, and you are led through some very just wide streets, easily enough for people and carriages to navigate simultaneously. It is a marked improvement.
Privilege.
Clay, this is probably your first time in this area, at least in the daytime. And Glimki, of course, this is your first time here ever. And you are led to a rather nice-looking but simple, no fancy adornments. And the guard brings you inside, and he speaks to another guard on duty and kind of whispers something to him. And the second guard looks over at the two of you and kind of raises his eyebrows a bit and shrugs his shoulders.
Do I recognize any of the guards?
Give me either an insight or just a raw intelligence roll.
That was a devious smile from Zach.
Not 20 though.
Not 20. The guard whose eyebrows have raised looks familiar. And you have the feeling that the two of you nearly came face to face a few short nights ago when you set off a flare in front of his eyes to distract him as you made your way through a part of the city you had no business being in.
Can I roll insight when he raises his eyebrows?
Sure.
14.
The expression that crosses his face is not one that indicates passing or benign interest. It definitely seems like he is immediately trying. You think maybe he hasn't put the pieces together, but you can see like your presence means something to him, and sure as hell it's nothing to do with you.
Okay, I want to pull on your hand here, Clay. Be like, okay, not to alarm you, but I just want to be sure with how sure you are with that you saw the princess. You said there was a package, right?
I saw her.
I mean, before
it was shaped like a princess, and it made sounds. The package was.
Well, okay. Look at me, Clay. Look at me in the eyes.
I look at him.
The man over there seems to recognize you. It seems.
Don't look at him. Don't look at him.
I'm not looking. But I think it's important to get our story straight before something happens.
But we have to tell them about the owlbear.
I didn't see an owlbear.
I showed him the owlbear.
Yes. I remember the drawings and I remember the ring.
Someone took the princess. She's kidnapped.
Okay. Yes, I think I have the portions covered. So if whatever happens now, that's the story we stick to.
Okay.
Okay.
And the guard who raised his eyebrows, he kind of stands up and his eyes are fixed on you, Clay. And he kind of like is squinting a bit and he says, all right, you've got information for the captain?
Yes. Can we speak to him?
Certainly. And he leads you into a side room. It's a simply decorated office. There is a large wooden desk, kind of 2/3 of the way back. Sitting behind it, there's a individual. He's a
human man. He's got short shaved like head. He looks like he's maybe late 50s, and he kind of glances up. You see he's got these heavy bags under his eyes. He glances up at the three of you as you enter, and the guard who brought you in kind of closes the door, but does not leave the room. And he kind of just stands there at attention. And the captain of the guard says, "Yes, can I help you?"
2 nights ago, I think I saw the princess, and she's been kidnapped. She's been taken.
Very interesting. Now, might I inquire as to how and when you saw the princess?
Yes, it was at the docks at Pearl District.
Interesting. And might I ask what the princess was doing at the time that you purportedly saw her?
Being kidnapped. She was being kidnapped. Someone took her.
And do you have a description of who it was that took her?
I pull out my drawings of the owlbear again. I lay them all on the table, and they look like mad scribbles of this owlbear.
He glances over at the other guard in the room, and he says, "Now, just to be clear, you are saying that you saw the princess 2 nights ago, the night she went missing, and an owlbear took her."
Can I tell if anyone recognizes the owlbear?
You can make an insight roll.
Yes, I would like to do that. What's insight? 7.
You know, with a 7, you don't seem to think he recognizes it beyond the obvious of what it is. And your insight is kind of replaced. Whatever you might have gleaned is replaced by him saying, "Kenneth, why did you bring her in here? Why did you bring them in here? This is clearly a waste of my time. I've got more important things to be worried about. The king will have my head if his daughter is not returned."
Well, wait, hold on, sir. I don't mean to interrupt.
And yet
Please,
you are.
please stop me if I'm wrong, Clay. But I just met this person.
Good.
Maybe 6 minutes ago. And I mean, I'd like to call myself a pretty decent judge of character, and I'm compelled to believe that she's telling the truth.
You don't really see it so much as you sense it, but the guard who escorted you into the room has kind of started to like work his way over to the side to get a better look at your faces.
I turn to keep my back to the guard.
I mean, look at her. She's a wreck. She's been crying the whole time.
You have to believe me. I saw the princess. She's gone. We have to go after her.
Well, he got a nat 20 on his insight, and he says, "All right. Do you happen to know what she was doing at the docks? Could you expand upon that?" And you do notice that he does like reach for a notepad and a quill, and he starts to actually take some notes to your credit.
She was being kidnapped. She was.
Yes, but what does that mean? Was she being thrown into a burlap sack? What does that mean?
She was in a package. And there were men on the little boat, and they took her.
It was a boat.
Yes.
Interesting. And at this point, the second guard, Kenneth, he says,
Is Kenneth the one that recognized?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He says, "Boss, I think I've seen her somewhere."
Yeah, you saw us in the lobby, Kenneth.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. And I'm going to have him roll to see if he can recall where he's seen your face.
Okay.
I'm going to say on a 14 or higher, he will immediately realize where he's seen you. Less than that, he might not make the connection till later or not at all, but we'll start with this roll.
Okay, perfect. Right when he's looking, I'm going to use Minor Illusion to make a clambering of sounds in the hallway outside. Like something fell over.
Okay. You create an auditory distraction, and I'm going to say that will give disadvantage to his roll. The first roll was a 15.
Roll again, roll again.
The second one was a 9. And Kenneth the guard is staring at you. And then there's a sudden clash or crash outside. And he turns his head. And the captain says, "Check on that, would you?" And he says, "All right," and steps out of the room. The captain, Pardon Duthane, he kind of looks at you and says, "All right. Do you happen to know, did you say she was being placed upon a boat?
Yes, she was in a package.
Do you happen to know the name of the ship in question?"
Do I remember seeing a name on the boat?
I'm going to have you make a retroactive perception check from the night that this all took place.
Okay. Oh, jeez. Okay. 6.
6. You think the name started with a K.
Okay. It
But
started
that's
with
all
a K.
you remember. All right. Started with a K.
For king.
What's the K? I vaguely remember there being were there 2 figures on the boat?
There was.
And they were cloaked and I didn't see anything.
And an owlbear?
The owlbear has something to do with it. They were working for the owlbear.
What?
The captain nods his head and says, "Oh, very good. Is there any more information you wish to share at this time?"
What are you gonna do about this? Are you gonna go after, like, how? You have to save her. She has to be saved.
"I am aware of my duties as captain of the King's Guard, and I will do everything in my powers to find the princess that I am able to. I do not need you telling me how to do my job."
Yes, sorry, Captain, sir. Obviously, my friend here is incredibly distraught. She just really wants the princess to be saved here. But if there's nothing else we have to share, then perhaps we can be on our way. Right, Clay?
Have you found anything yet?
Right,
Are
Clay?
there any leads? Where is she?
"I am afraid that is classified information."
Why aren't people going out to look for her? Shouldn't everyone share the clues?
"Tomorrow, it is my understanding that the king, or perhaps his evil vizier, shall make any requisite information publicly available."
His who? What?
What?
The king's evil vizier.
His evil vizier?
What?
Yes.
Is that his official title? Like he has like evil vizier, and then good
Yes.
vizier.
There is not a good vizier. There is just the evil vizier.
I think, Clay, I think that's more than fair. And you've done more than you had, than anyone has asked of you at this point. And you should feel good that you did the right thing.
All right. I think Clay lets herself like slump and leaves with Glimki.
Okay. Yeah, you are escorted outside and then furthermore back to the Ocean Crest Bridge and back to the Gold District. The guard that originally brought you in kind of nods at you as you go. He's returned to his station. And where do you go from here?
What time is it now?
I'd say it's getting towards evening. The sun is still in the sky, but probably won't be for long.
I guess I ask Glimki, hey, where are you staying today?
That's a good question. I was hoping to find some place after I got my book. And then I was struck by a vehicle and then tied up into this dramatic unveiling. Do you have anywhere that I might be able to crash?
Yeah, so I'm staying right now above a tailor shop.
Oh.
You're pretty small. You might be able to just
sneak on in, and that sounds pretty good because I got a big hole in my pants. Perhaps they could.
I can look.
We can work out a deal.
I can patch that up for you. I've got some scraps from the tailor shop.
That would be more than kind. And perhaps over the evening I can pick your brain about this job that you're being super vague about.
Yeah, maybe we can think about how to save the princess.
Yes, I've got some more ideas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, write me out of the story. I want the buddy cop adventure that is these two just hanging out. Like, the vibes are perfect. We do not need me.
Unfortunately, we can't write you out of the story because they make their way back towards the Silver District.
Yeah, we're
And-
going.
This
As
bitch
they-
again.
As they do so, you arrive at Madame Fauvelmont's tailor shop, and you see that there is a carriage parked outside. And there is a rather bored-looking gnome sitting atop it.
Son of a bitch.
And he glances over and sees you and says, "Oh, what's the big idea? We already paid you off."
Listen, I didn't want to run into you more than you wanted to run into me. I can assure
I'd
you
run
that.
into you if I had the chance, I'll tell you that much. Step in front of my horses.
You did that already.
All right, yeah, that's true, and I'll do it again.
I'd like to see you try.
Yeah, well, why don't you just open your stupid eyes next time, huh?
What's going on here?
This lovely fellow ran over me with his cart.
This
This
is
lovely
the
fellow
carriage?
nearly broke my horse's leg.
Okay. I'm 3 feet tall.
Aye, and am I.
Well,
Watch where you're going next time.
Yeah, watch where you're going next time.
No. I don't know.
you know what? It's fine. We're better than this.
Okay, let's go.
You're not. You're really not. You think you are, but
we
you're
are.
not.
No, we are. Have fun living your life sitting atop a carriage. We get to go walk around freely.
Thanks. It feels pretty good. View's great from up here. And I don't get run over.
You think he's tied to the carriage?
I hope you. I mean, I haven't seen him leave. He said 5 gold is how much of your time's pay?
A week's pay.
Yikes! I walk inside.
You step inside and you see a familiar-looking elven woman standing upon a little round, I don't know, there's probably a word for it. I'm not a fancy guy. A round little thing on the ground that's kind of like a stool, but too short. And it allows the tailor to see her better, but it doesn't make her very high off the ground. And if you can't picture that, then I guess you're a bad listener. So... you see a elven woman, and she's slowly being wrapped in fabric that has kind of taken on the appearance of a dress in the few hours that she's been here. She's wearing this poofy wig, and you see a dwarven woman that you, Clay, would recognize as Madame Arlette Fauvelmont, and she is kind of clicking her teeth as she she cocks her head a little bit, and then she kind of whisks her fingers through the air, and you watch the scissors kind of go snip, 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 and she says, "Ah, it is finished."
How do I look?
Stunning.
Roll for snatched.
Yeah.
Should I roll for snatchedness?
Please.
Oh my god, that's another 19!
No one will argue that this dress isn't incredibly inappropriate given the current national crisis. But in the same breath, no one will argue that you aren't rocking the hell out of it.
Just everything in different shades of gray and black. This one woman's just strutting around.
Another successful scissoring.
And how?
another successful.
I grab a broom and start like sweeping away the bright yellow and orange scraps from the floor.
Clay, wonderful to see you. I noticed there was some dust in the corners. Could you make sure you are better
Yes.
about that?
Of course, ma'am. Is it all right if a friend stays over with me today?
Hi.
And I'm like more sweeping.
Madame Fauvelon rolls a 7 on her insight and says, "Yes, go ahead, girl. Get it. We love this."
Great, thanks, ma'am. And then I just go back to sweeping.
Have I seen Glimki?
Yeah, you kind of, as you hear conversation, you kind of turn your head and you see this familiar-looking gnome standing before you.
Oh my god, it's the victim!
That's me.
How are you feeling? You look, well, you have a little something in your hair, but otherwise you look, quite unhit by a carriage.
Yes, I'm feeling much better. I do wish to say thank you again for your kindness and standing up for me, but by God, the people that you employ are terrible.
Yeah, your carriage driver is kind of rude.
Oh my god, don't even. Where's Lady Amala?
She is trying on her 30th hat of the fitting session, and she says, "Well, perhaps this one. Well, no, the other one did look better. Well, I
Okay.
could just get them all."
I'm going to hike up my immense skirts and like scooch over closer to Clay and Glimki and say, between you and I, Lady Amala drinks rather profusely, so I rather suspect that the help she hires are sort of seen through colored lenses, if you will. But that's none of my business. Now, what's the word on the street?
I'm sorry.
You know, what's the hot goss? What's the layperson's news? What's the ribble rabbling about?
What was your name again?
Oh, I'm Lady Faunalyn Vaydark, and you were strange
Lady Vaydark.
something about a carriage something. Remind me.
Yes.
From the corner of the room near the door, you hear beloved friend of the show, Crombeck Lung Crusher, say,
I call him Speed Bump.
God damn it, he's been here the whole time.
Damn right I've been here the whole time.
Thank you, Lung Crusher. It's not called for.
Well, I mean, the like, I'm assuming you all know. I mean, I just got here, and all I've heard is the talk of this missing princess. And I mean, our friend here, obviously distraught. She's just trying to get some space for herself. And yeah, that's about as much as I'm willing to tell a stranger in a bright yellow dress.
I suppose I respect the discretion, though I must say I'm rather disappointed. Now, say, just hypothetically, what if there were sort of a gold piece in it for you? Because, you know, I'm a woman of many means, but in my circles, you see, people can be rather tight-lipped about rather recent kidnapping/disappearances, and I'd rather like to know if anyone has any sort of, you know, it's fine if not, but, you know, there would be rather a piece of gold in it for you, so...
I mean, the information that has hit mine ears is probably not mine to share. I mean, if there's anyone you'd like to talk to, perhaps it's Clay.
Immediately turn to Clay, like whip my head over to Clay, my wig like whoop.
The owlbears did it. She was kidnapped.
The owlbears, you see,
Yeah.
you say.
I already told the guards.
Hold on. And Glimki steps in between the two of them. You forgot the part where you were supposed to negotiate the cost for the information that she offered. But it's fine.
I pay all of my I pay my associates well. You needn't worry. What did I say? 5 silver pieces?
Sure.
2 gold. You said you said gold piece earlier.
Did I say 2 gold? You're
Yeah.
probably right. Anyway, you were saying
It was the owlbears. I take out my sketch again. I'm gonna show it to everyone.
Sorry, darling, do you mean a literal owl bear?
I show her the sketch. Have you seen this before?
have I?
The elven kingdom of Ulithorthiad is magic incarnate. The weave is woven into every strand of grass, every leaf of every tree. It is a place where nature and arcana live in constant harmony, and that sometimes results in some really weird shit, like owlbears. And I would say you have seen an owlbear or two in your past days, perhaps on a family outing or otherwise. They are fearsome creatures, and I would say you probably saw them in a zoo.
Okay. Why, yes, I have seen that.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes, I'm being completely serious. I've seen that.
Clay, you're onto something. So this is all real. The owl bear is really up to something here. Where did you see them?
Yeah, where did you see it?
Well, I don't think that I should reveal my sources until I hear something a little more coherent than the owl bears took her, she's gone.
I pull out the ring and I'm like, do you recognize this?
Do I recognize it?
Give me a history roll with advantage.
Hist. Okay, that was an 8 and a 9. And my history is a +0. Thanks for the advantage. Did not help.
You do recognize it,
That was a low DC, eh?
but in the sense that it's familiar to you. With an 8/9, you cannot place it, but you know you've seen it. And I would say with a 9, you
believe it is the symbol of one of the noble houses of Erdenine, though at this time you cannot place which house it belongs to.
What I wanted to ask was, did I see this symbol at a recent soiree?
Possibly.
Okay.
Gintless.
Speak to tantalittling.
I think the person who took the princess, they were wearing this ring.
Okay, hold on a minute. This element of the story was left out. The owlbear took them, and now there's someone that was sporting this ring. Now we're on to something.
My friend took this ring off of someone who was kidnapping the princess.
Oh my god.
Wait, you hold on. You dealt hand to hand with the people that took the princess?
My friend took it without them knowing.
Clay, is there a more private area that we could perhaps have this conversation?
I was just going to say.
You're not listening, are you, Lung Crusher?
Nope, not listening at all.
Madame, I'm going upstairs with my friends, and I bring them to my room.
Wait. I don't know if it's rather appropriate for me to be seen crawling upstairs with, well, the help, really? I hope that's not an offensive term. It just seems accurate because you were being rather helpful downstairs. So I was going to say, shall we have a little rendezvous? Perhaps something under the cover of darkness, rather some subterfuge. Perhaps we could meet at night somewhere secret away from Lung Crusher and talk?
This is an interesting idea, as long as you don't wear that dress.
Do you not like my dress? What?
No, I'm just
It's
saying
rather
that
fetching.
whatever dark area you choose will seem as bright as the day.
Oh, well, you see, the darkness makes other things dark as well, so this dress will practically be black in the nighttime. That's how nighttime works.
I will believe it when I see it.
For reference, Faunalyn's glasses are like very dark tinted.
I think it's a beautiful dress. Madame Fauvement always does a good job.
Oh, I think it's sorry. Don't get me wrong. It's a stunning piece of garment there, but it is a bit overt, if I could use that as a description.
Note taken, and notes always, go down easier with a compliment, and I received 2 of those, so I'm happy as a clam. What were both of your names? Or should we use code names? Yes, let's use code names. I will be Rumpus. And what will the 2 of you be?
Well, my name's Clay.
No, shush, don't tell me. But it is very nice to meet you, Clay, and my name's Faunalyn.
Nice to meet you.
They call me Glimki, and I will also be Rumpus.
Okay, and Clay, do you also want to be Rumpus, just to keep things really easy?
Yes.
Excellent. That will be very easy to follow, and it will certainly make our subterfuge much more subtle.
So where are we going?
I think it just makes the name more common, because if somebody's like, I've never heard a person named Rumpus, I'd be like, well, I'm named Rumpus too.
We're normalizing it. We're normalizing Rumpus, and I think that's important.
Yes, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Now, I live in a tasteful little joint in the Sapphire District. It's the Berthold Manor. If you can make your way to the Sapphire District tonight, say midnight, I can meet you.
What? What word are you
The
saying?
Sapphire District. Sapphire. It's a gem.
Oh,
I've never.
Sapphire.
You live in the Sapphire District? I've never met anyone who lives there.
Yes, in the Sapphire District. Yes, we're all on the same page. Very good. It's very elite. If you both come to the Sapphire District and go to the Berthold Manor tonight, I will meet you in the yard. I know a discreet place in the yard where we can speak. We shan't be heard anywhere.
I could see that being a problem. We had guards.
I know how to get there. The sewers lead right there.
Never mind. Clay will show me in.
Yeah.
Rumpus knows. I had a feeling Rumpus would know. Well done.
Could I get a group stealth check?
Oh, no.
Dang it.
This is why I wanted to meet it under the guise of night.
This is why I wanted to bring you to my room.
It's really good because I have disadvantage on stealth.
You can forgo the disadvantage this time.
Okay, good.
I got a 10.
That's really, really good because I got a 2.
Okay.
I got a 19.
Wow, 19s across the board.
Oh, sorry, +1, 3.
Oh, good.
Thank you. That does make a difference. Very good. Carry on.
Yes, Rumpus and Rumpus, I say we cease all talking until our rendezvous at the Sapphire area.
Yes, the Berthold Manor. Don't screw me on this. I think we can really help each other out.
And I agree. And for the matter of the 2 gold we were promised.
I haven't forgotten. And I'm going to take out 2 gold pieces and hand it over.
Yay, 1 each.
I'll give that to Clay. I think she's earned it.
Nah, it's one gold each.
Hey, and look at that. We're back to 10.
Oh, I'm gonna add to my gold. I now have 25 gold.
Oh!
I'm down to 10.
At that point, Lady Amala, she calls over and says, Lady Vaydark, are you ready to depart?
Yes, darling. I was just chit-chatting about, the wink-wink situation with the wink-wink cuckoldry. And I walk over to Lady Amala without another word to these two.
She says, I'm sure you were. She's kind of got like a little smirk eating at one side of her face.
Can I see if she bought any hats?
I was just going to ask.
Yes, you see that the guard, the hired guard, Crombeck Lung Crusher, is currently carrying a stack of about 10 hat boxes that are teetering precariously.
God, I need to be extorting her more. She is so rich.
And she steps out into the evening air, and Crombeck manages to navigate out the doorway without dropping any hat boxes, and the shop goes quiet. Faunalyn, as you are riding back to the Sapphire District, if you will, to put it simply, the sun explodes.
Nice.
Which, in other worlds, this may be cause for alarm, but here it is a regular occurrence. As Pharos, the Sun Phoenix, erupts, it starts to glow this bright red-hot glow, and then it supernovas, and you watch as cosmic particles are scattered across the sky, and the night is immediately ushered in. And there's kind of this afterglow for a second, and then it kind of fades, and you see that the two moons are glowing, providing a bit of pale light on this evening. The moons are always full on Zav, and you begin to make your way back to Berthold Manor. And as the three of you make plans to rendezvous later this night to discuss what you have learned and what you suspect, that is where we will end the first episode of Bard Soup.
Yay!
Wow.
Woo! Thank you for listening to the first episode of Bard Soup. My name is Zach Meikle. I am the Dungeon Master for this group. I am joined by Prima Zhao as Clay Campbell, Jordan Johnsen as Glimki Treefellow, and Shannon Meikle as Faunalyn Vaydark. We're just a wee baby podcast, and it would really help us to grow if you could give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or just tell someone you know about us. There was a few sound problems in our first couple recording sessions, but I promise those get resolved pretty early on, and we've got a lot of really great things planned for the future that we're excited to share with you, so we hope you come along for the journey. New episodes come out every Wednesday, so we will see you next Wednesday.